Awesome. We're live.
Woo! All right.
We're like broadcasting from everywhere. I'm in the car right now, but you know what? This is how exciting it is to be on social media, right? Where we can
do it from anywhere.
I love it.
Got a designated driver over here.
You know what?
Oh,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
it's all good. Well, ladies, welcome to tonight. As you guys know, this is our Rising She Spotlight series. This is our podcast, and we are super stoked tonight to be welcoming in another woman with more wisdom, more awesome, exciting information. And let us know if you guys are tuning in. Leave an emoji below. Throw some hearts up. Let us know that you guys are tuned in tonight. So we have Elysia here. Woohoo!
Hello.
Elysia is a spiritual teacher and mentor. And Elysia's natural vibration of loving, acceptance, and soulful compassion opens the door to deeper connection to your soul. She cracks the code of self-love and self-worth on a multi-dimensional level, allowing women to tap into their natural gifts. Woo! I'm excited.
Love it.
Welcome, Elysia. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yes. So, Elysia, we start out this podcast roughly with the same question because we love hearing the different responses from, all of the different speakers that come into this space. And so could you please tell us, what do you love about being a woman?
Oh, I love that question. The first thing that pops into my head is the ability to create. We have the ability to create life, and a higher level of creation than that. I think the biggest joy that I have in my life is my 3 daughters. And so I think that's my favorite thing about being a woman.
That's beautiful. I love that. And just being able to create life and being able to, tap into those gifts that you've talked about that allows to create things in our life, if that makes sense. Not just creating life, but creating what happens around us and nurturing everything that happens around us. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. Love it.
Yes, so good. Well, Sara, Rosemary, who's not on this call, but the 3 of us were totally scoping out your beautiful website and what you have coming up here. So we had a question, and please correct me because I know I'm probably saying this wrong. But can we talk a little bit about Lemurian? Like, am I saying that right?
Yes. Lemuria. People say that in different ways. I pronounce it Lemuria. That's such perfect timing because I just did my very first call in a little mini series that I'm doing with another healer, where we are connecting everyone to their Lemurian self. So Lemuria, there's no history books about this time period. Because it was very, very long ago, and all of the information that's out there is channeled by different people who are really connected to it. And last summer, I had the opportunity to go to Kauai. When I lived in Hawaii for all last year. And right before I left, as I was leaving, in fact, I had 3 huge suitcases with me because I flew from Maui to Kauai to Seattle. So I was like on my way out of town, basically. I stopped in Kauai for a week, and Kauai holds the energy of Lemuria. And so to be able to experience that, and I went to a retreat called Remembering Lemuria with, I don't know if you guys know Katrina Armstrong, but she's really, really amazing healer. And she led this retreat with another woman who lives there. And we took a journey to the center of the island, which is really the condensed energy of Lemuria. And it was one of the most difficult but most amazing experiences of my life. And I received so much while I was there. And basically in the time of Lemuria, it was kind of like the Garden of Eden. Everybody was living in connection. There was a lot of oneness. They were living in connection with each other. They could communicate wordlessly with each other. They could communicate with the animals, with the plants, with the crystals. And there was just so much love and compassion in that time. They were able to shape shift. They could heal instantly. And I feel like that energy is really coming back in now. We're sort of kind of re-entering a similar time. And so I just feel a really strong connection to the energy of Lemuria and, you know, all that encompassed. And one thing that was coming in for me when I was really tapping into that unconditional love that they lived in there was the word agape. And, you know, agape is kind of used as God's love for humanity and humanity's love back for God. But it's a divine love. It's the purest form of love. And that's kind of the energy that they lived in that time.
I love that. God, and to me, maybe it's just me, but I like you said, we're kind of moving back into that awakening place where we can have more of that unconditional love and living together as one. But to me, just as you're talking about wordless communication and shape-shifting and just nothing but pure love, like for everybody, I feel like that would be like vastly in the future. Like that would be, maybe that's what happened in the past, but that is what's supposed to come back around. And not to weird anybody out, but even when my kids talk to me about like aliens and they get weirded out and they're scared like aliens are going to come down. I don't know why they think that, but I'm like, you know what, if aliens are smart enough to come down onto this planet, they're going to be such loving, wonderful creatures that are so intelligent that they're not about hate and war and attack. They're about love and creation. And I mean, maybe that's just like where that gets pulled from, is those past, you know, places of history. So anyway.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, it feels like it's far away. It feels like, oh, you know, you look around at the world that it seems like we're living in. You know, it feels like there's a lot of turmoil and chaos and hatred, and there is. But I really feel like we're actually pretty close to having that be our reality.
I do too.
I feel like
it's a big upheaval, and I see that too. I think some people are like, what are you talking about? There's so much like war and chaos right now. But look at what we're surrounding ourselves with, and we're seeing it in the masses, people like turning over a new leaf and people waking up and stepping into this more lit place because they see the change that has to happen before everything just crumbles. And so, yeah, I think that we're moving in the right direction. I totally agree. Very
cool. It doesn't seem like it if you turn on the news, but
no, that's why I don't watch the news.
The reality I'm living in.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit last week too, about, you know, really the rise in the feminine right now, where women are stepping up. And so I totally second and third you guys when it comes to not watching the news, because it is so depressing. But then there's also this underlying of support of, oh my goodness, these women, they're starting to rise up, they're sharing their voices. So side note, but
yeah,
it's a beautiful yet chaotic time right now.
Yes, agreed. That's a good way to describe it. So we have some people tuning in. Kelsey saying she definitely feels that shift. Heather is saying it's actually the safest time to be a human than it's ever been. Ooh, Heather, I love that. I might ask you to like go deeper into that at some point. Anyway, so
I love that.
Yes, it's a very cool way to look at things. And I think when we look in the moment, we're like, oh, the chaos. But if we compare it to, you know, everything that's come out through history, and, you know, it is a very safe time to live. People are actually stepping in and looking out for one another. It just depends where we put that focus. So I wanted to ask you this, and it's honestly something that I try to work with quite a bit. I try to work through it, and I hate to call it a struggle, but it's something that, you know, comes up for me quite a bit. And I saw you guys kind of touch on it with a live that you did with another woman on your Facebook page. And so for all of the women out there that are empaths, and there's a lot of them watching you right now, how do we discern between what is ours, like our feelings, and what is being projected from somebody else? And I saw like what the other woman you were speaking with, and I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but
Amy Robison.
Okay. And she was saying, you know, you walk in a room and you're feeling great, you're feeling light and happy, and all of a sudden you just like feel like this shift and you just feel like crap, and you're like, oh, well, where'd that come from? Is something wrong with me? Am I in a bad mood? Am I having a weird thought? Am I feeling anxious about something? And I feel like I've been in that space so many times where I'm like, my chest feels heavy, but nothing's wrong. wrong? And I'm not anxious. Where is this coming from? Who does this belong to? Or is, and just questioning these feelings that you don't really know if they're yours because your empath side is pulling it in. So any light you can shed on that would be awesome.
It's a very common thing. And I feel like people are waking up really fast now. And when you wake up really fast, sometimes you don't have the understanding to go with it. When you wake up gradually, you can learn along the way. And I think that's when you wake up, you actually open up to more of, feeling other people's feelings and taking on, we can even have thoughts that don't belong to us.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that are experiencing this, even if you've been, awake your whole life, you still may be experiencing this. And one thing that I do is when I'm feeling like, like you said, anxious or kind of a heaviness come over me, I will just go into my heart space and I'll just ask, is this mine or someone else's? And sometimes it's just that awareness that will shift it instantly. Okay. And you can actually ask, if you work with angels or just ask Creator, ask your higher self or, whoever you work with, to lift that energy that's not yours, to please remove or cut cords from any energy that doesn't belong to me. And that can really shift things instantly. That's something everyone can do.
Yes, absolutely. I think we forget how simple it is to just ask. And I think I was explaining this to Seana and Rosemary, maybe somebody else, but even days when I'm feeling really drained and tired, and I will just ask angels for more energy. I'm just like, I just need some energy. I need to get some things done. I need to feel, filled up a little bit. And then within 20 minutes, I have like a burst of energy. And I'm like, we have to just ask. It's there. It's there. Ask for it. And it will be delivered.
Yeah. And we get so busy and distracted that we do forget, we forget that how much is actually available to us.
Yes, absolutely.
Elysia, I have a question for you. What does your daily spiritual practice look like? Do you have sort of a ritual regimen that you stick to stay so in tune?
I do have a couple of different rituals that I do, and then I'm always doing different things, depending on what's going on. But two things that I always stick to is before I get out of bed in the morning, I call back all parts of myself. Anywhere I've gone off, traveling in the night or whatever I'm doing, I call that back in and I can feel that kind of click in to myself. And then I connect to my higher self and I just ask, for my higher self to sort of be my guardian for the day, to bring me the people and the experiences that are in my highest and best good, and to kind of be a guardian to keep out those that are not. And I connect in with Creator, and I just bring that source energy down, and I ground myself, and I usually will pull up, some bubbles of light in different colors from the center of the earth. And I do this, and then I set my intention for the day also. And I do this before I get out of bed. And the days that I jump out of bed and I don't do that, I can really feel the difference. And literally it takes me 3 minutes. Sometimes I'll spend a little bit more time if I have something big going on to really set my intentions and visualize what I've got going on. And then at night before I go to bed, I kind of play my day backwards and let go of anything that, that I wasn't necessarily felt good in that day. Let it go. And then, just calling all parts of myself back in again. We separate, our energy. We can separate from ourselves so quickly. Something will pull our attention off in one direction. We'll be worried about, I tend to think about and worry about my kids a lot, and that'll, pull my energy in one direction. And so just consciously pulling all parts of myself back before I go to bed. So those are two things that I do pretty, religiously every day. And then meditation is a really big part of my life. And I think I use meditation a little bit differently than a lot of people. I have a sacred space that I've created within my heart, and I do all of my work, all of my healing work, all of my connecting to anything I do from this space within my heart. And that's basically my form of meditation.
Oh, I love that.
That's so beautiful.
That's
Okay, I'm
so
definitely
beautiful.
going to be following your lead on.
Just saying that
Um,
you're calling all those parts back to you. That is a big aha moment. And I've been told that as soon as I go to sleep, my spirit like runs and that it can't always find its way back. Like somebody actually told me to sleep with a compass under my pillow so that my spirit could find its way back to me and maybe that's why I wake up tired. It's just like running. It's just going.
Yeah. So if you wake up tired, if you wake up like with your stiff neck or a sore neck or shoulders, those can be indications that because we're all doing this. We're all going out in the night and having adventures, on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're doing things like, sometimes we actually have contracted to energetically on a spiritual level contracted to go and battle evil in the night. And, we're getting spiritually beat up in the night. And so when you call all parts of yourself back, and I always set the intention cleansed in God's light, then that can help resolve a lot of that. And, when in deeper work with clients and things, I work on, resolving those contracts so that we don't have to do that. We can go off and do fun and interesting things rather than battling.
I was about to ask you, is there a way to tap into knowing what our spirits are like up to during the night and what kind of contract we've signed up for?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big part of the work that I do with private clients is tapping into that and just asking to be shown. Basically, that's all it is. It's just to ask to be shown. And this is work that I've honed over a lot of years, being able to see the truth of what's going on. And then working with my guides and working with Creator to actually resolve those contracts so that we don't have to live in that way anymore.
I love that. I think a lot of women from this tribe are going to be reaching out to you about things along this line. I can feel it already.
It's one of my favorite things to do. I don't do a lot of one-on-one client work anymore, but and I've set the intention in 2018 to allow myself to move back into that. I do a lot of group work, which I love, but I miss more of the connection with individual people. And even in-person stuff, that's something that's not been part of my reality for a while. So I'm really wanting to dive into that some more this year.
Oh, that's so good.
And that's a really good segue too, because it's interesting. In this community, it's everyone from very intro to, trying meditation for the first time. Perhaps they're having their little mini spiritual aha moments, and everyone up to, them thinking of creating careers and becoming spiritual entrepreneurs. And you recently launched your digital course, which is so exciting. So what has that process been like when combining business and spirituality, masculine, feminine, all that comes with being a business owner? What is that like?
Yeah. Well, it has been quite an experience. So I have only I've only had my online business for less than 3 years, and it kind of just exploded. And, I don't even know how it happened. I can't even trace the steps, but it was just meant to be. And exactly. And through that process, I actually received a download for my own modality. And so I actually certified 101 people last year in my own modality. It was the first time I taught it. It all came through when I was living in Maui. I'd been told, Creator was kind of telling me that this was going to happen, and I had no idea what that was going to look like, but it just all came flooding in. And so I took the leap, and I taught 3 classes last year and certified quite a few people. And what I've discovered in that process is that there are so many amazing healers out there that aren't making any money. And so my heart just got really passionate about that. And so I actually put together a business course that I'm going to be doing in January. So that's a really different it's a different avenue that I'm going down. But I'm excited about it because it's mostly people that have been trained in my modality who have watched me grow my business and want to be able to do this in an authentic way, because there's so much noise out there on Facebook, as you guys know. And I've made a lot of choices that didn't turn out to be in alignment with my authenticity or integrity, and wasted, tens of thousands of dollars working with the wrong people. And so that's something that's really dear to my heart, is at least helping people get centered so that they know how to make those kind of decisions for themselves.
That's so good. And it's so true. It's aligning with the right people that are meant to come in at the right time. And Sara, you've said this before too, like in the creation of what the three of us have done in a short 6 months here, whenever spirit is whenever we can tap in, like we've had multiple psychics that we've gone to with when we're creating our business plan, when we're like, maybe when things get off a little bit or when we're exhausted, it's like, okay, what do we need to get back in? Or, what do we need to pay attention to at this point? So whenever spirit is intertwined, it's amazing the type of doors that open and women like you that show up and come on podcasts and share your love and wisdom. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And I think when there's a flow there, you can feel when there's a flow versus maybe a flow with a few bumps to overcome versus a flow and then hitting resistance because you're not supposed to go that way. You're not supposed to connect with that person at this time. But I think it's like really crucial what you just talked about. There's so many spiritual teachers and healers out there that are amazing and they're gifted and they have these beautiful gifts that can actually help so many people, but they're not making any money doing it. And so they're working a 9-to-5 job somewhere that they are not thriving at, and that's not, serving themselves or anybody else because they don't know how to bring in the money doing what their gifts are at. And so I think, like breaking open that awareness that what they have is valuable and that it is worthy and that it can be brought out, and they don't have to, say, well, because it's spiritual, money shouldn't be tied to it. Well, that's crap. So I think that's like a wonderful message to give to women.
Yeah. I feel pretty strongly about it because there's some amazing people out there who, it's depleting to do this work and not get an energetic exchange for, a equal energetic exchange. And it doesn't necessarily have to come in the form of dollars, but, some form of energetic exchange that's equal to what's happening.
I agree. Very good. All right. You kind of talked a little bit about what's coming for you in 2018 with, January, and you just launched this other little course you've done like a day or two ago, like it just opened up.
Yeah, it was right before this call was our first call.
Awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. I'm doing it with Amy Robeson, who's an amazing healer and coach as well. And we've just been, it's something we've been working on for a few months, and it was finally time to do it. And it was a lot of fun. I always have a lot going on. I also have another, it's a 6-week healing course that's using a big part of my modality is called sacred soul alignments. And they are just energies with specific intents that were given to me by Creator. There's about 160 of them now. They work very quickly and they go very deep. And so it's basically just 6 weeks of receiving. I think there's 76 sacred soul alignments in the program. So I'm excited about that because I do a lot of different things, and doing healing work is probably the thing that lights me up the most. Just actually, facilitating and witnessing the healing for whoever shows up.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Okay, really quick question, because I got a gut feeling that someone is going to want to know the answer to this. How do you deal with all of your multi-passions? So as you're like getting an idea for healing and then business, and then, the list can go on and on. How do you keep the reins focused on whatever task is at hand or whatever you're getting in the moment?
That's a really good question. And I've kind of not contained my energy as well as I would have liked to. In this last year, I kind of did so many things and kind of exhausted myself. And so one thing that I've realized that is helping me right now and kind of going forward is to plan out what I want to do, because I get, sometimes I'll get like 10 different ideas for 10 different programs and I want to do them all right now. And I have had to realize that, just because I have the idea right now doesn't mean that I have to act on it right this very minute. And so I have a notebook that I write down all of my ideas, and and I can come back to them and, maybe I'll get an idea for a program, but I won't do it for another 6 months. And so just really realizing that that it's not urgent. Nothing's urgent. Nothing has to be done. I mean, there are things that are urgent, we have to take care of our kids and, that kind of thing.
Feed them.
But, right. But not every idea is urgent. And recognizing what actually wants to come through in that moment and what can actually wait.
I think that's such a good idea. Just writing it down so that you have like a safe space to keep it, and that you'll come into it. And then when the ideas start flooding in, maybe that's the time that you're supposed to run with it, or at least start pulling all the ideas together.
Yeah, and I started to learn that it was really important to write things down, because a lot of times when this information comes through, it's coming through in a channeled way where I'll forget it as soon as the idea comes in, unless I write it down. So for me, I learned that it was really important, because I'll think it'll be so amazing that I'll feel like, oh, I could never possibly forget that. And I began to learn that I was forgetting a lot. Yeah. And so I had to write, or maybe it's the fact that I'm 47 now and my memory is not as sharp and amazing as it was when I was 27. Yeah. But for me, it's important to write stuff down.
Absolutely. Well, we have something else we love to ask the women that come on here, and you touched on it a little bit, but feel free to elaborate. So what is your next right move?
Oh, I love next right moves. My next right move, honestly, is going within. I've been on a crazy, busy kind of roller coaster the entire 2017, and I haven't really allowed myself the space to just be really, really still and quiet for an extended period of time. And so I've got a couple things, that I'm committed to and that I'm doing in the month of December, but I've made a really strong commitment to myself to really, really go within and to get really strong in what wants to come through me for 2018. And we're in this period of time now where it's kind of a bridge into, I feel like it's a bridge into almost a new reality that we're kind of on right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really important for us to go within. So basically my next right step is not taking a step. Staying still.
Good.
That's perfect. And to just knowing you have to just stop for a minute and go into that temple, into that space, and just nurture that area so that everything can flow and it can be divinely inspired and not, pushed or forced. That's beautiful advice. Very good.
Yes.
So for people that want to get in touch with you, people that want to follow you, maybe they wanted to book a one-on-one, they want to check out your courses, where can they find you?
So the place I'm most active is in my Facebook group, and it's called Manifesting Magic with Theta. And I'm actually going to be kind of redesigning it and bringing in a new name, which I don't know what it is yet, probably in January. But right now you can find me at Manifesting Magic with Theta. And you can also find me on my website, which is just my name, ElysiaHartzell.com. Those are the two best places to find me.
Okay, very cool. And we'll post those below in the thread so that people can go back in and check it out and connect with you. I think you're going to have a lot of interest in this contract work. I think that's just very intriguing to people. Once we know that we sign up for contracts and we're here, it becomes very interesting, and we're like, well, what did I sign up for?
Yeah, it's really deep work, and soul contracts can be the thing that's blocking you from creating, this, that, or the other thing. They really can. It's really deep work.
So this might be too deep of a question. If it is, we can cut it off. But so if you're signed up to come in, or if you have the soul contract in place, you're supposed to experience these certain things to propel you forward in your life, to complete the contract, to grow in certain ways, to expand spiritually or emotionally. So if you stop that soul contract and you're cutting yourself off, how does the expansion continue?
That's a really good question. So those are the kind of contracts that you might want to rewrite. So say you have a contract to learn compassion and you're learning it through an abusive relationship. You don't want to have that experience of the abuse. So you can actually, with someone who's experienced in this work, you can actually work with your guides to actually rewrite that contract so that you're still learning that lesson and having that experience without having to learn it in that specific way. And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead. This is so interesting.
Yeah. So we get to choose a different way to learn it. We still get to learn the lesson. And then another thing that I always do when I'm working with contracts. So contracts aren't something that can be deleted. They can be released or, burned, but we can't delete them out of existence, So when I work with people to resolve a contract, we keep all of the lessons learned intact. So you're not, you're keeping the lessons, you're keeping the good stuff, but you're releasing, the trauma. Like we could have contracts with, so just a really simple example is having a contract or an oath to experience poverty because we took that as, a monk in the 1500s, lifetime in the 1500s or something. And that could be holding us back from, experiencing a lot of things. And so we can actually release that contract, but keep the lessons and the integrity that it came out of intact. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, and I'm just going to reach out to you personally because I have like 1,000 questions, and I'll just have to set up a one-on-one with you because I could talk about this forever.
I could talk about this stuff all day. Yeah.
It's super intriguing to me. It's very cool. All right. Well, we'll put all of your stuff below in this link. We'll have, place for women to connect with you and reach out to you. And it has been just amazing having you on here. Just thank you for your insight and your knowledge and your energy that you brought. It's been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you for inviting me. And I just have to say that I've been really kind of being present in your group, kind of preparing, getting to know you guys a little bit, preparing for this. And the three of you have really amazing energy, and what you are offering your tribe is just incredible. So thank you for your presence there for all of those women, myself included.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when we come together, we kind of just, woo, explode.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, so thank you again for joining us, and everybody that is listening or watching right now, be sure to tune in every Wednesday night for your weekly woo-woo wisdom. We have somebody new every week, and we will see you next time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Elysia.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.